They have quite a called Fun, and they have competitions. All the villages come to Orinda, and they have big, you know. So I wanted to talk a little bit about our partnership because we haven't talked about it in some time. And also, we are thinking about maybe taking a trip to Ksinga next year. And so I just wanted to give an update on the partnership with people. The partnership based on data is shoulder to shoulder in Swahili, and it's a partnership between the Synod here and the diocese in Orinda, and they have paired churches here with parishes in Orinda. And our church was paired with Ksinga in 1999. So next year is the 25th anniversary of the partnership. And we have a budget benevolence and a fund that gives them construction support every year. And with that, they have built a pastor's house, built preaching point buildings, and also bought motorcycles. And then we also support scholarships every year. And with the scholarships, we've supported 44 students in secondary school since 2012. We had a group, Sue and I first went to Ksinga in 2006. We had a group from here go in 2007 and in 2009 for the 10th year anniversary. Sue and I have been back since for the fifth. And the pastor Rahali and Dora Evangelist came here to visit us in Minnesota in 2015. And we took them to a farm, took them to the state fair, and Pastor Rahali, who did not go to secondary school, but has still taught himself English, preached from our pulpit in English. Tanzania is the deep coast of Africa, below the equator, and this is the thing. We come to Dar es Salaam, the capital city, well, actually the former the business capital, and then we take this road to Orinda, about 500 kilometers. Orinda is about the same elevation as Denver. And then Ksinga is up in the upperland, about 6,000 feet elevation, right here. And we also go to Ruaha National Park for safari. Because this is the Sunday, this is the middle of the Ruaha National Park, one of the nicest national parks in Tanzania, less crowded than Serengeti. And so in Serengeti, you look for the vehicles to find animals. In Ruaha, you look for the animals. You're often the only vehicle there with the animals. So it's very nice. So Dar es Salaam isn't so nice. It's more than 5 million. Very busy place. We only spend maybe a night there, night or two. That's where we arrived. And then Orinda, it's a very nice town. It has good restaurants. This is our base. And we stay there. This is the center of the diocese. And we have good restaurants there. We have it's a nice town. This is their produce, wonderful produce. Some of the Ksinga produce will come down here to be sold. And so Sue and I lived in Orinda for a half year in 2010 and 2011. I taught at the university. This was my first class of students. I still have contact with some of them. I taught computer science, which is taking off in Tanzania now that they have more internet plentiful, and these students are doing very well. But it's just a fun time to live there. And HIV, we think of HIV in the past as being this is relatively a high area for HIV, but it's very open and discussed now. There's no stigma anymore. The government puts up posters like this in every school, and so people are aware of this. And so because in some of these remote villages, it was horrible because no one knew about it. And we go into these villages and no one knew. And you have migrant workers, you have truck drivers coming through here. Dar es Salaam is the main port for like Zambia, some of the other landlocked countries. So there's just trucks coming through, and it's much more open now, and also more treatment is available. So that's a good thing. So Ksinga is just a beautiful place. It's up like 6,000 feet elevation. The best place to live in the world is 6,000 feet on the equator. The weather is like nice all the time. It can even get cool in June, but down in the 40s. But for Minnesota, that's nothing. But for Tanzania, that's down jacket. But it's a kind of a forested area that you can see spread out. This is the main village, but they have preaching points. This is another preaching point up here. There's another one way up here, covering big distances. So it's probably about 6,000 people now, but spread out. And this was in 2009. They met us to give us a motorcycle escort in the town for the 10th anniversary. When we went there with our group, every motorcycle in town. When Sue and I first went there at night, it was totally dark. There were no motorcycles, there were no solar systems. You maybe see a lantern someplace over there. And then as over the years, we've seen, people, that house has some solar and they have lights. And now they actually have electricity since we've been there. So things have steadily improved and a lot more motorcycles. So this is a picture of the Pastoral Holly and the old church that they had. It's a response to our picture where we put the whole congregation up and took a picture of our whole congregation. This is their response. And I think some things were lost in translation. There's some confused faces there. They're not sure exactly why we're doing this. But it shows the size and how proud it is. This is the new church that they have built with some of our construction funds. It's a beautiful building. It's big. At this time it had a dirt floor, but now it has nice tiles, very clean, and it has electricity now. So quite a change. And so in 2015, Pastoral Holly and York came here and had a great time. We went to a farm, dairy farm down by Northfield, and Pastoral Holly wanted to drive the four-wheeler. They went out to see the cow. So in Ksinga, if you have a cow, it never goes more than 20 feet from your house because of theft, so that could happen to it. And so the cows tend to basically sit in this stall. They have a horrible problem with foot disease. And so it was a real surprise to Holly that, well, we're going to go out and see the cows. They're getting this four-wheeler. They go way out. You can't even see where the cows are. They're out in the pasture somewhere. And then when they came back, he was riding. So he's never driven before. This is fun for him. And this is Norm and his family. And for the life of me, I can't understand how they just stay so spotlessly clean in a home with a dirt floor. I mean, they're much cleaner than I am in my home. I can't keep clean. So what they do, and I guess they know what to do. If they don't, there is a lot of dirt and stuff. But it's a very delightful family. And this is the new pastor in Ksinga with his family. Pastor Shukuru is from the same village as Bariki, which is next door to Ksinga, and not too far. We glide through it actually. And they were in school together, so he knows Bariki knows him quite well.
Tell us who Bariki is. Some people might not know.
Bariki is Ruth the Mahanga, Zimmerman, who was a member of the church, but now she's in seminary, and she came on the 2007 trip, and Bariki was our translator. And it kind of not so much a translator, but more of a guide, like a local guide along with our driver. And he was with us, and they really hit it off, to put it mildly. And so after that trip, they communicated, and then Ruthie came on a subsequent trip on her own to work at an orphanage in Riga. And I think maybe be around Ruthie was maybe the primary. And then when Sue and I were there in 2010, Ruthie said to me, we would see him there quite a bit, and he came to our house, and I drove him to his brother's house in the dark, and he was sitting in the car and wasn't getting out, and he wanted to know what the bride price was in America. because he was going to propose to Ruthie. And he ended up proposing to Ruthie on my computer in my house. And Elizabeth had set up a computer at her school, at Ruthie's school, outside her dorm room early in the morning. It's like a 9-hour difference, time difference. And with a rose in a vase on this table. So Ruthie opens up her door in her dorm, and there is a computer greeting there on a Zoom call with his rose. He proposed to her on the computer there.
Cool.
So, and they got married in 2011, I think. We missed it because we was in Tanzania. Yeah, but so anyway, it's quite a touching story and a wonderful story. Actually, they grew out of Vegas what they did. This is a typical house. You know, a lot of the houses are thatched. You can notice the smoke, the cooking smoke is wafting through the thatch, and but the pastor's house is very nice. It has a separate cooking area. You see, these little rooms are just a separate area behind the house to do the cooking. The room in back is a bathroom with a big toilet on the floor, and then the middle one is like a shower area for the drain. You just do a bath, like a sponge bath with a bucket of water. And then they'll heat the water for you, but they don't use it for themselves. It uses quite good. Yes. So Artie is giving the women from Ksinga a gift of funds from the women in LCP for a project, and this project is to raise piglets. And so they were very pleased to receive those funds. And so then my next trip a year later, I had to go around and meet every one of those pigs personally. So this is showing cooking. Actually, pigs or beef are not very common. Chicken, which is called kuku in Swahili, is and beans. Beans is the primary protein source. Chicken is kind of a special occasion Sunday meal kind of thing. But for us, we get a lot of chicken. They go all out for us. But this is the cooking process, and they cook over wood fire. Look at that bread, though. You know, they made those rolls in a Dutch oven with a wood fire. And right now she's making chapati, which is like an Indian flatbread, very tasty. We have those for breakfast often. And then another thing they have is like a spinach, called it's like spinach. They cook the green leaf and boga, so it's spinach. Here's a typical breakfast when we're visiting. You know, sometimes they make the chapati with eggs, so kind of a mix of like bread, egg mix. So when we first went to Ksinga, they were using nothing but surface water sources. This is a particularly not pleasant one. They had one other one that had a better quality water, but these were located all over the place, and they weren't very healthy. They got a lot of disease, waterborne illness, diarrhea. And then one of our sponsored students discovered a spring up on a ridge. And with St. Paul Partners and the University of Minnesota Engineering, we developed this into this is a collection point and laid about 2 kilometers of pipe to fill this 3,000-gallon tank. And then people would come. This is the primary students giving their water. And then the adults also. They carry 40 pounds of water on top of their head like that, and will carry that for a long ways. So to leave from here, they have to go up a hill and to get to the other part of the village. But it's actually the physics of it are great, because putting that directly over your center of gravity is the best way to carry things. And so it makes sense. They knew that, we just don't.
Well, in clean water.
Yeah.
You can see the face of.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's great. It's so plentiful, but that storage tank will actually overflow
Overflow.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And, because of that, we're hoping that they'll be able to, now that the village has power, we'll be able to pump the water up a hill to supply clean water to the medical dispensary.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
And since we've been there, they have another source, but it's not as good as the source. I don't know what came in or how that happened. It's probably, it might be pumping water up the river. And so a lot of times they're using river water. It can be purified in some ways, you know, and so we need to get back there. So the climate there is fantastic for growing trees. And so people in the village can get paid $2 a day to plant seedlings. Pine trees will mature to lumber in 10 to 12 years, which I think is like 40 years in a lot of North America here. And so it's a good industry. The pine isn't even native to Tanzania. I think the Danish brought it in long ago, but it's become a good resource. And so the church itself has their own forest where they raise trees for income. So it's a move. We could maybe start that. Have a little income tree plot out there. Once a month in the village, they have a market day. And so here's Sue at the market. So the truck comes in with household goods, clothes, spread it out. People come from far to shop because they don't have much of a store presence in Ksinga itself. And then these trucks just go to different villages every month, different day every month. And so market day is also butcher day when you don't have refrigeration. Because people come and gather, and so you can consume the meat without keeping it a long time. And there's no fancy cuts of meat. There's like 1 kilo of cow. Just go ask for 1 kilo of cow, and you get whatever they pack off of that. You want to talk about this, the dispensary suit?
Oh, yeah. So Ksinga has a medical dispensary, which is very close to the pastor's house. And we've had the opportunity to purchase medications. And what we usually do is we'll send a message to the pastor saying, can you get a list of medication that you need up in the village? And so he'll go to the dispensary and talk to the person who heads up the dispensary. And for a long time, we had a clinical officer, a medical, it's kind of like having a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant taking care of all of the healthcare for that community. She will write up a list, and then she'll get it to us by sending it probably through the diocese office or via the pastor. And so when we come into a window, we pack up all these supplies, these medical supplies in our vehicle that we're taking into Ksinga. And those supplies, I think we usually spend about $800 or so.
These are funds that were raised at LP.
Yeah.
For this purpose.
Yeah, so we bring up those medications, and those medications last that village about 6 months, which is amazing.
It's a different dispensary, but like with many things in Tanzania, it's under-resourced. So they run out. And so so this really helped. And we have a doctor from Malula that okay with it, so we're getting prescription medications, but things are more flexible there, especially for assistance like this.
So during the last week, oh yeah, this girl in the navy blue sweater was just had what we would call in medical terms risers, which means she's facing like this. And they made the diagnosis of malaria, and because we had been there, they were able to medicate her, and she was fine in just a matter of a couple of days. And they frequently keep track of each year what their highest incidence of illness is. You can see that.
Upper respiratory tract infection, I think is about one there.
yeah, and you can see that,
That area has dropped since we got rid of the line. They see that and the track, the benefit of that.
and one of the last times I was there, I got to meet with, just a small group of women from their congregation. They tried to publicize it. It was just very impromptu. And we had a little teaching session about women's health and women's cancer. And most of you know, I worked in women's cancer care for about 30 years during my career. Anyway, so we talked about women's cancers and women's health. And those women are so appreciative. The next day I was up at the church with Dan, and Pastor Mahali came running up to the church and pulled me out of the building to meet with one of the women that was there. And he explained to me, you know, she doesn't have much to give, but she knows that you like avocados. And I have this plate of avocados.
They're teaching.
And the avocados there and the pineapples there are just incredible. They taste so good. But I was so touched because that was a huge gift when you think about they're earning $2 a day to work for the forestry service. But Dan's gonna point out.
This is the voter. The voter is the clinical officer. We have been supporting her in medical school in Arizona. Medical school tuition in Tanzania is less than $1,000 a year. And so she's so organized and so good that we're supporting her. She will graduate next year. It's a 5-year program. They don't go to college. They go out of high school. Their high school there is an extra year. College is 3 years. High school has got an extra year. So they go straight from there into a 5-year program for medical school. And she'll finish the next year.
And when we went over and we met her, you know, probably a couple years in a row, we recognized that this woman had a lot of abilities.
Yeah.
She's very organized. She had all of the medications that we brought up organized within a day. And you know, she had inventory all set up in terms of keeping track of what she had there. And just amazing.
And I will get a message from her on WhatsApp like, sir, if you're in good financial condition, tuition is due. She knows, full response, yeah. But if you're in good financial condition, there's many kids there. We were talking about growth and multiply. They got the message there, Tanzania. And they are delightful. There's a primary school here. I think they have 900 students and a staff of 12.
Oh my God.
And so there's a lot of enthusiasm. In fact, if I go back, I think one of the things I want to do now that I have electricity is to bring a computer and a projector and try to do some work with the teachers. I'm actually on another nonprofit that has some teacher training videos in Swahili that I think I can get a hold of too. And so this is a typical classroom. It's a product. It's a difficult. The scores are improving in Ksinga. The teachers are doing a good job. But they're still pretty marginal. I don't know. It's difficult there. And the old church, now we have the new church. The old church has been converted to a kind of a library, all-purpose room, basically like this. And we've been bringing books. We've been going shopping for books in Dar es Salaam and bringing them when we come. And here the kids are there at night studying on their own. So I just took this picture. We just walked over there. Had no idea they were there. They were all studying, working away. And so often Sue and I, it's expensive to rent a car all the time. So sometimes we get a ride up there, because we don't really need a car to Ksinga unless we're going down to a remote reaching point. And then we take public transport back, which is an experience in itself, but most of our groups won't do that. But it leaves at 5 in the morning, and it comes into town and starts blaring the loudest horn you've ever heard. And the whole, every morning, and the community, this is what, most people are up at 5 anyway, because they're farmers. They even have a church service at 5, before you go out to the field. But anyway, so. We go.
You're staying in charge of that.
So anyway, sometimes we read by this and it's very interesting. And so we'll stop at different places. They'll put the produce up on top and it'll drop us off at the main bus stand, and then it'll go straight over to that market we saw the picture earlier to unload produce for the market. So the other thing that groups do, and this is kind of, wouldn't call it mission, although it can be, we took some of our Tanzanian friends there as a group, and they had never been to their national park. But Ruaha National Park is really a gem. It's more wild. There's no fences. It's natural, and it's getting more crowded, but it's not as crowded as some of the bigger parks. Well, actually, this is a bigger park, but it's not as crowded as some of the more busy ones.
It's relatively unknown too.
Yeah, they're trying to work, trying to improve access to it. It's not that easy to get to it as certain. And so it's camping. This is a wall tent. You use a wall tent for your mosquito net. So it's pretty luxurious camping. And in the back there is your own bath, the toilet, and a hot water shower with solar heated water. It's very nice. The animals are around. So this is Ruby with an elephant there grazing right outside her veranda. It's not uncommon to wake up in the morning and see a lion track below your veranda. I was on foot and took this picture, and then he bluff charged me. He apparently thought he was bigger than I am.
Did you do?
I ran.
You can outrun an elephant?
Bluff charging. If he's bluff charging, he's
Oh,
bluffing.
love.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not bluffing.
It made me nervous.
Most people don't go wandering around by themselves.
Well,
Just
at night you get escort. But
No.
so these are the vehicles that use. These are better than almost any car vehicle I've seen. It's open. You have great viewing. If you have heated seating, they're great, and they go everywhere. In fact, sometimes they do things they shouldn't do. They just rip through cross country through the brush with these things, but they're not supposed to. And so you can basically you can see you and right there. Here's Sue with these lines. So that one's thinking about maybe hopping into her lap. There's nothing that stops them, but they see these vehicles every day, so they're used to the truck. If you get out of the vehicle, they get nervous. And we did that. We drove ourselves there on a trip, and we went to a place we could view hippos. And we're viewing hippos. We're out of the car, and all of a sudden we hear these growls from the lions. There were 3 of them. Well, I don't know, 100 yards up a slope. They were nervous because we were walking around. They didn't like it. And 2 of them left. The 3rd one stayed there, and we just slowly walked back to our car and left. But yeah, but if you're in the vehicle, it's fine.
And more dangerous than any other animal probably in the park.
With the
Hippos.
hippo or mosquito. Mosquito, they say is. But yeah, the hippos. In fact, we stayed at one place where we actually had to walk around the hippo to get to our meal. So they have good cats in Ruaha.
Those are cheetahs. And the cheetahs are very shy animals. And actually, Dan and I went on to San Diego Zoo one year and saw a cheetah in a pen with a golden retriever. And they use golden retriever when they're young to socialize.
They raise them together. and then they take them out, for tours of the people. Yeah. But it's very clear, right there, you go out to the car, you just drive around vehicle, different places, stop someplace to have a little lunch. And, it's just a wonderful experience. Which is great, you're seeing stuff all the time, everywhere. This one they chased into the bush, and we ended up seeing it really close, and then it crossed the river, so it actually jumped into this river, swam across, apparently had a den on the other side with the cub, and then we often have dinner out night in the bush, and you can hear animal sounds, and they escort you to go back to your room. I remember we were going back, and he said, "Oh, just a minute." And he picks up a rock and he goes and he chases off an elephant, and then said, "Okay." So,
Usually.
yes, in case then, yeah. Mhm. And we did once, right? We had a snake.
Until he went and got somebody to remove the snake. And what happened is. The work area. The upper.
Yeah, it's like an attached roof, a structure, and then they build a vault that can put up a vault underneath it.
Within it.
It's open the walls and the sides, and then they have this little back. I think that it wasn't in the wall, but it was.
No, it wasn't. But we have to go. And probably have you go by maybe if it didn't bleed, but he had a big lump in him. And we figured that he probably caught mouse or something, and he was just sleeping.
I told her relax, he'll be gone in the morning, but.
So if you come along, don't go get damp.
Actually, Sarah Martin had a experience with a snake that her caliber too, a green with a lula. So, but otherwise, it's very safe. The country is very friendly, and it's a wonderful country to visit, and it's just a great experience. And so we're hoping to go next year. It'll be our 25th anniversary. They keep wondering. I get text messages all the time. When are you coming? They would love to have us come, and anybody that is interested, we're thinking, June is a good time to come. It's a dry season there. It's a good time for animal viewing, for safari. It's cool, but it's fun for us. But anyway, if anyone's interested, we'll be trying to gather some interest. So the trip in 2020 was actually 2020 was the first year since 2006 that I haven't been there. And so that trip was canceled because of COVID. And so we're hoping to go next year. So, any questions?
Who wants to go?